Hello art friends, I'm Robin. We had so much fun making and designing our paper for our beetles last time, and now we're up to creating them. This is all about cutting, so get those scissors ready and join me. These are the things we're going to need to create our beetles. We're going to use our food dye coloured paper, and you'll have plenty to choose from, so select one that you really like. Scissors, grey lead, an eraser. You might need a glue stick and you might need some tape. We're also going to use and work with our design that we drew in the first module. We're also going to need some cover paper, and I'm going to put, and maybe the designs that you from the internet or maybe from a book you've got. So let's get started. Pop all those things away. Now let's pop those things away, clear our space. Now this is the design that I worked on at the very first module. Remember, we chose the head, chose the thorax, chose the body, and created our design here. So we're going to use this one as our starting point to create our beetle. Now this is the piece of paper I've chosen, so I'm looking at how big that is to determine how big my beetle is going to be, because I want that to be in the back part, or those where the wings are. It's not going to be as big as that, that's just my idea. So I'm going to use my brown. I want you to fold it over, and one good thing about folding it over is that you can make a symmetrical beetle. So if you're a person who worries too much about getting one side right, this solves the problem rather. Now with your pencil, work out exactly sort of where you want the back to go. So I'm going to put a little tiny mark there and probably about there. So I don't want my abdomen to be any bigger than that. Now let's have a look. Look, using this, I'm going to be drawing half. So it's really like if I did a big line right down that middle, I'm going to draw half of it over here. Now remember, this is your own unique beetle. It is not like any other beetle you've ever seen or like anyone else's. It is your own. So just work with it, enjoy it, be creative, create. So here we go. I'm going to start off with the head. So I'm going to draw this little head here, and I'm going to do these little tiny sort of antenna things here. And I'm going to go down, then it's got a bit around here. Now if your beetle that you're drawing here is not the same as that, do not worry. This is just a helper, a starting point. You might want to use some of the resources that you've had before to create one of those beetles. This is just to get you started. Now I know my beetle's got a little bit coming out there, and it's got little bits here, and then I'm going to go down. Now I've got my spot here, that's where I don't want to go any further than that, because I've got my paper and I want that to make sure I've got that filled in. But I like that shape, so I really like that sort of squarish shape. So I'm going to go down here and then go down there. And that's my base, there's his head. Now I love these legs that I've done there, so I'm going to try and do very similar ones. Here he goes down here, and then some zigzaggy bits there. They look pretty groovy. And then these little, like these big sort of square bits here. And then I'm going to go down here. I'm going to do some zigzaggy bits here and a little tiny bit like that. And this bit's going to go down like that. So I've got the basic of my beetle, but I'm going to just do where I want the paper to go, and it's going to be maybe like that inside here. And maybe I can put some paper inside here and a couple of maybe lines up here. Right, so I have drawn my beetle on that side. I'm just going to check and make sure that my paper is going to fit in there. Cool. Now, cutting. The trick to cutting is always move the paper, not the scissors. If you're going to try and cut like this and go round like that, then it's going to be very tricky. But if you'll just start cutting and then just move your paper around, you're going to find that you're going to have a much easier way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and get rid of all of the excess stuff. Move him around. Just cut off all the extra bits. Get all that down. Righto, pop that away. Now as you're going, if you happen to cut off an antenna, happen to cut off a leg, don't worry, we can always just glue him back on. So I'm going to start. Now, as I say, and you can practice this at home if you're wanting to be a really good cutter, it's just about moving the paper and not the scissors. So I'm going around here, moving the paper, moving the paper. Now, do not worry if you go off the line and it's yours a little bit not like your original one. That's fine, because remember, your beetle is going to be unique. Let's have a look. And as you're going, just cut off bits as you go in. Snip away, snip away. Let's have a look. Be careful around those legs bits. Hold them with your fingers so that you've got the two that are the same. Down we go. Moving those scissors. Moving the paper. Getting into those little bits there. Right, there we're going. A little bit up here to do. And around this bit. Now I've got a zigzaggy bit, and the best way to do zigzag bit is just to go in and out, in and out, and that's an easy way. Is coming on quite nicely. Let's have a look. I might have to hold them carefully so that you're doing the two bits together. Okay, so I've got a little bit to do around here. This is a bit tricky. Once again, moving the beetle. And let's have a look. Oh, just a bit on the legs, and then he's done. Let's have a look there. And right. So the outside of my beetle's done. I've got the head and I've got those arms, the 6 legs. Oh, let's clear our space. Now what we need to do now is we need to create some holes in here to put our coloured paper in. We don't want to fold it over and press it, but we need to fold it a bit just to get a starting point for our scissors. So without pressing it too much, just grab a little, cut a little hole and use that as the guide to get your scissors in, to start just to creating that hole that I've drawn there. Don't make it too big because your paper is going to have to fit in there. So just move it around. It might be an idea to make it small and then just get it bigger as you're going to see, once you've tried the paper, to see if it's the right size. Let's have a look and see. Can open him up. Ah, perfect size. Now I've got a couple of spaces in here. I might just cut that out as well. Once again, just folding it carefully, a little nick just to start it. You don't want to make a big crease there. I think I'm going to have a square one. Let's have a look, I think. And then see how that goes. Maybe. Now, with your first one, you get the technique happening. When you do lots of insects, when you start experimenting and being really creative. So here we have my beetle. Okay, so I've got the 2 holes there. Now, this is the most important part to remember, because on one side we've got lots of pencil lines here, and that's the side we're going to glue, okay? So be careful, make sure you don't forget that, because you don't want to have all those design lines onto the front. So let's have a look. That looks great. I'm going to work on the back bit here with this colour. So let's have a look. The first thing is put some glue with your glue stick onto the area that you want. And I want to have this piece on the base bit and a different colour on the top. So let's have a look. I'm just going to get a bit of an idea. Let's put him down. Think about and pop that across there. That would look great. So this one's a bit big, so we can just trim him down a bit. Let's have a look and see. And we're going to just Once again, put some glue on our glue. Pop him at the back there. And of course, just trim, carefully trim just anything you don't need. Sometimes if you trim too early, you'll end up with a bit of a space, and that makes it a bit tricky to cover the hole. So I like to just trim it carefully. There we go. So now I've got my beetle with it. I've got two designs here. And I'm going to fold him and let's see what he looks like. Put the glue down. Right, and there's the start of my beetle. He's looking good. Okay, a very big beetle, this one. Look forward to seeing you in the next module where we're going to finish our beetle off and put him on display and get him all ready to look for everyone to look at. Okay, join me then.